Good morning, everyone. Oh, I hope you're all hearing this. Are they? Are you all hearing this? Somebody come on. Good morning. We are here live. We told you we were going to do a special show, and we are doing that special show. So it's either picking it up there or here. And we have a really special guest. Chetna is live here.
Hello, I'm so glad to be here.
Yes.
This is just super exciting. I'm just really glad to be here.
So some of you out there might not know. Oh, yes, you can hear us, Michelle.
Yes,
Michelle. All right. So many of you might not know who this dear lady is. She is all the way from Mumbai, India.
Yes.
And she was brought here by her friend Amrit. Is it right?
Amrita,
Yes.
yeah.
So Amrita.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are excited, aren't we?
I know. This is crazy good.
So,
hi, Michelle.
So when was it that you got certified with BioTouch? Or tell us how you even heard about BioTouch.
So I think about 4 or 5 years ago, I actually heard about BioTouch.
And you can talk to all the people out there.
Yeah, I heard about it through Ariana, who teaches it as Triome,
Right.
which is what it used to be once upon a time. In the 70s, I think, right, Paul? It was Triome then?
Well, we'll actually talk about that here.
Yeah.
Triome was the technique that Norman, who found the technique that I met, he went with a group of people and they created another name of it. So BioTouch was the original thing, and then Triome became sort of an adjunct.
Okay.
And they created another different kind of manual with a different
thing, yeah, because that had some. I remember
but the
telling you
essence
that.
was the same.
Yeah,
right?
and I learned it as Triome, and
Right.
she was the one who told me about justtouch.com, and she said there's so much more information about the technique on that website than what I teach right now. So I went up and looked that up, and it stayed somewhere for about 1.5 years or so till I practiced it. And then I said, okay, now I need to do more with this because she's a single person moving between Colorado and back down south in India. And she teaches small groups. I mean, in India, I think she's taught about 60 odd people so far, but nobody practices it besides me, which is when I got in touch with you. And I said, okay, I've done this for 1.5 years. I want to go further with it. And then you and me worked together and I got certified. That was almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
yeah.
Great.
All right. And she's actually come all the way here because she has to have a point check. So why not just do it in person?
Just fly across for the point check. Why not?
Right. How many hours does it take to get there?
Well, 16 hours from the Gulf, but another 3 hours before that and some transit. So about a 20-hour trip.
Yeah.
Not too bad for a point check. Not too bad at all for a point check.
All right.
So, yeah. But
So tell us what you, well, first tell us why you like BioTouch.
Well, it helped me through 2 of the toughest parts of my life. One was when I first learned it as Triome. It was before my dad, who had just been diagnosed with liver cirrhosis. And he used to have severe pain in the leg because what happens is that the liver sends the toxins down into the bloodstream. And he didn't know where the pain was coming from because it was moving pain. Because of the condition of his liver, he was not allowed to take any painkillers other than like the lightest amount of paracetamol. So there was no way to get that pain out. And I would see him thrashing his leg in the middle of the night because he didn't know what to do with it, right? So I learned the technique. I did that for him for about 6 weeks, every single day for the first 2 weeks. And then the next remaining 4 weeks, I would do it every alternate day, twice a week, once a week kind of a thing. And the pain disappeared.
Wow.
It went, and it didn't come back for almost 2.5 years. Now the pain that he feels is more because of his diabetes and not because of the liver. But strangely also.
So he lived through, I mean, he's still living.
He's fine. I mean, he's got 35% of his liver. He's okay.
Wow.
But here's the strange part. He's an alcoholic who didn't give up alcohol. And yet his liver condition hasn't changed.
Oh, my God.
So, and I haven't done BioTouch for him besides those 6 weeks. But his body has pretty much stayed the same.
Do you still work with him?
Not really. He refuses to sit now.
Okay, Papa, this is it. I hope you're watching. Get work done.
Yeah, so he's lazy, but yeah, when it hurts him, he says, okay, no, my leg is hurting. Like, do something for me. Right. I was like, okay, it's like people start thinking that it can be immediate relief as well.
Right.
And that's a bit of a dicey space because it sometimes is not immediate relief, you know.
Right.
So yeah, but the other part it helped me through was with my mom, who was diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer. And we lost her 2 years ago, but at no point did I feel helpless.
Wow.
You know, there was always something that I could do. There were times, so her first symptom was that she couldn't eat, she couldn't swallow anything. And she would go through terrible discomfort the minute she ate or drank anything. And I would just do BioTouch, as in sweeps down her throat. And in 10 minutes, she would settle down and go to sleep.
Wow.
You know, even right at the end in the last week when she was delirious, no morphine was helping, no kind of painkiller. She had a whole cocktail of it and none of it was helping. And she couldn't sleep. And all I had to do was touch her back and her spine for 5 minutes. She'd be out for the next 4 hours.
Wow.
She'd sleep peacefully. So I mean, I've always felt like I could do something. At no point did I feel that I can't do something for my mom, you know, when she was going through that. And I think that's the biggest thing with BioTouch.
Yeah.
That's something that I try and tell people in India. You know, instead of having, like, what I would really like to do is tap into the caregiver circle. Because those who are going through the pain are coming in because they want some kind of miracle and some kind of immediate relief, which may or may not happen. Right? That depends on their body.
Yeah.
But for the caregivers to just be there and be able to do something with it, I think that's like the biggest gift.
Oh man, thank
You know,
you for
so,
bringing that
yeah.
up, Chetna, because I mean, BioTouch, and we've said it many times, because we feel helpless.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
sit there and we stand there and watch our loved ones and
Yeah.
our friends, whatever, go through this. There's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
And then you have something like BioTouch.
Like, I never felt helpless, not even for a second. I even have somebody who was in another state, and he had been suffering from prostate cancer for 10 years. And I think he passed away about 6 months after the whole BioTouch thing, because I think that was his last bit. But his entire right leg was swollen. And we taught his wife and his daughter-in-law to do BioTouch for him. And in a week, the swelling went down and the man was walking again.
Wow.
He had been bedridden for almost a month and a half. And they called in panic saying, okay, how do we do this? You know, like, we need to learn this. And the person who taught him was a friend of mine who learned Triome with me. But she wasn't practicing it. So she called me up. And in fact, she was one of my first clients of BioTouch, because she herself has multiple sclerosis, and which is a whole different story of a miracle. Because she tried. So let me finish that. And then, because I have stories in the last 5 years of only success with it.
Right.
And you know, his entire leg swelling went down. He walked. He spent the next 6 months being fairly active, and then eventually, I mean, he had had the disease for almost 10 years, but his body gave in. Right. But it affected him in that manner.
You know, which brings us to a point that we're talking about all the time. So even in the midst of a terminal condition, BioTouch gives everybody a quality of hope.
Yeah.
That there's something more than just this.
And at least that part of that time of your life is comfortable.
Yeah.
In some manner.
Right.
Yeah. Comfortable for everyone that's there.
Yeah.
You know, like, I know that when I did BioTouch for mom, my dad would be at peace as well. He would sit there saying, okay, she's going to feel better now. She's not going to be in pain for at least the next 4 hours. That itself was for him sitting there and saying, okay, so she's going to be okay for a bit.
Wow.
You know, that's a big thing.
So I think for everybody out there too, this is important what Chetna is bringing up here, because that's what we talk about with BioTouch. It helps everyone.
Yeah.
It helps the caregivers, it helps the family members, and what you're telling us is so important.
I mean, we were at Universal, Amrita and me, with her daughter, 7-year-old daughter, who in the morning went to school, and we were going to pick her up. And when we went to pick her up, she had fallen down and hit her arm. And we were standing in the queue to go into some ride. And she was crying, saying that, you know, it's hurting. So I said, okay, let me touch magic buttons. That's what I call it for the kids. And I touched the button, and I said, by the time we finish the ride, it'll be, you know, the pain will go. And she went juggling with the pain. It was still there after a ride. And she looks at me and said, you said it will go, but it's still there. But the fact that she would, after some time, give her hand back, saying, you know, it's hurting, do something.
Right.
It's to say that, okay, someone can do something for me in that moment, you know. And I think she was okay by the next day. Wow. The fall may not have been that hard, but she was fine the next day, you know. So it's just sweet. Like, she's like, oh, it's hurting. Can we do something?
So it's just amazing. And what we also want to know is, like, what are you doing over there to share BioTouch with more people? Are you doing classes?
So I do put out the word. I do more one-on-ones because I think the market in India is for the healing space is very different. It's exploded in the last 5 years, and there are 40,000 techniques out there, and there are people who are learning the techniques because they're seeking. And they don't know why they're learning it. Not many of them end up using all the techniques that they learn. A lot of them don't know how to take the technique and turn it into some kind of an earning space to put in the time for it.
Right.
So for me, I put it out saying, if you want to come as a group, please come. But what I've had is more one-on-ones. So we have Lester who's joined in. Hi, Lester. So we have... I do a lot of one-on-ones. So in one-on-ones, I think I've taught about 4 or 5 people so far. And some of them are using it. They're actually, like I have one girl I think she's 20. And she calls me up and she says, okay, so my uncle has this and what can I do for him? And then I work with her to say, okay, why don't you try this and try this? And then she does that and she calls and she says, okay, he's feeling better. I have another client and, can I do this for them? And I'm like, okay, yes, you can. Wow. So what happens is 20 people will learn and maybe one will actually practice and take it forward.
Right.
And that's the way it is. And that's okay,
Yeah. Well, we find the same thing. I don't know how many thousands of people we've taught.
Yeah.
And, but the key, I think, is what you bring up, is we're at least trying to expose people to it, plant the seed.
Yeah.
We can't water the seed, but we can plant seeds. And
absolutely,
whether you do it in this lifetime or 20 lifetimes down the road, our goal is just to plant these seeds. And we're so grateful that you're playing, Johnny Appleseed over there? Is that a story there? All the different cultural stories. So we're just tossing those seeds, and we are so grateful.
It is. I'm very grateful that in whatever manner this was a technique that I received, because I know that when my journey began with BioTouch as a healer and as a practitioner, this was one of the first techniques that I got up and said, okay, this is what I want to do and want to be known as. And even today, the way I work, the way my practice is set up, I do BioTouch, which is for physical ailments or any kind of pain that you're feeling. So I address the body through this. I do chakra healing courses or sessions for anybody with an emotional space, baggage that they're not able to release, being stuck in some form of life. And then I do life coaching for any kind of really mind kind of space, right? So it's the mental space, getting you to build those habits and getting to goals. So what BioTouch has done is that it's enabled me to have that full picture. Like I'm somebody who sits there and says, come, what is it? Body, mind, soul, which one is it? Let's pick what you need, And I work with that.
So share with people your website and even your Facebook thing. Let's see if I can even type it in here.
So my Facebook is @The Circle of Positivity. So if you just put that there.
Circle of Positivity.
I think you're going into the title. You'll have to put it in the comments, I'm guessing.
Oh, it could have gone up there too. Circle
of Positivity.
Oops.
Yeah. You.
Oops.
No, you've got a wrong spelling. It's got double P. So let's move that.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Circle of Positivity.com.
You've got a wrong spelling here again.
We need these young people to take
How many BioTouch practitioners does it take to type a word?
2. 2. It's called tag team.
So, check out her website and her Facebook.
So on Facebook, it's called The Circle of Positivity. And I'm also on Instagram, which is actually where I am extremely active. And on Instagram, my handle is Positivity Angel. And I have lots of stuff that goes on there. I talk about BioTouch. I talk about chakra healing. I talk about, coaching techniques. I even have a podcast that goes up. So,
wonderful.
That's a whole bunch of stuff.
Chetna used to be on our board, too, for a while.
Yeah.
She was a great addition.
I would have loved to be there for longer, but the time difference.
I know.
6 o'clock in the morning while you were having wine out here. I was with that coffee, keeping my eyes open. And it became a little difficult, but
So we are grateful for Chetna.
Yes, I'm absolutely grateful to be a part of this community. Goodness. And I do hope that a lot of people, especially caregivers out there, learn BioTouch. Whether you're a nurse or a physiotherapist, or you're just somebody in the family where you see someone in pain. So I think it's a great tool.
That's it.
take that word from Chetna from India. And thank you for joining us here
absolutely.
today.
I'm so glad to be here
with us today. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. We'll see you on Monday.
See you on Monday.
Thanks, dear.
Yay.